Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing my next throughout the years video, and this one's going to be years 5 and 6, which are the last 2 years of junior school in the UK and the last 2 years before you go on to high school. I don't remember that many things happening in year 5, to be honest. It wasn't a particularly eventful year. The only thing I do remember is this was the winter that my cousins moved from England to Singapore. They sort of travel quite a lot and they've lived in a lot of different places, but this is the first time that I can remember that they moved abroad. So I remember that we went to see them off at the airport at Heathrow, and it was, I understood what was happening, but I got very emotional afterwards. Yeah, that's about the only thing I remember from year 5, to be honest. Year 6 was a bigger year for me. This is the year that, this is your last year at primary school, so you're applying to high schools. And for me, I didn't go to the school that sort of everyone went to. There were sort of 2 schools that everyone from my primary school sort of went to, but I applied to 3 different schools. I applied to 2 private schools and a grammar school, and I ended up going to the grammar school. But anyway, to get into these schools you had to do entrance exams, and the one for the school that I went to was the first one I did. And this was the first time that something happened which I knew, if I went to this school, would be quite a frequent issue for the next however many years I was there. But we got to the exam and we were outside the room that we were going to do the exam in. And I can't remember which member of staff it was. I don't think he even works there anymore, but I don't have any recollection of who it was. But he came out and we were all standing outside about to go in. And he comes out and he says, "We've got a very sort of weird thing happening here." And everyone's like, "Oh, what's that?" And he was like, "There are 2 girls here with the same name." And I was just like, fine, okay. It probably isn't me, because I think I knew one other person called Jennifer. So I didn't really think that my name was that common. Then he went, "There are 2 Jennifer Williamses." I've been thinking like, oh gosh, this is gonna follow me around forever. So we went into the room, and I think they let us talk for a little bit. Like, I didn't know anyone else who was even applying to this school, because it was like a really long way from my house and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember, because I was sitting in front of the other Jennifer Williams, and I remember talking to her, and she was so lovely. She was always been the nicest person. So she was the first person from my school that I spoke to. Another thing that was slightly weird, at this time I had very, very short hair, extremely short hair, about the same length as my dad's is, very similar, not that much longer if it was longer. And I had sort of quite a round face, and I still looked very childish, so I was frequently mistaken for a boy, which, whatever, it doesn't really matter. In the end, I was 11 anyway. A girl who was also doing the exam in the same room as me, who was in my form for the next 5 years afterwards, she told me, I didn't know this at the time, but she told me a year or so later, she was very confused as to why I was doing the entrance exam for an all-girls school, because I look like a boy, but I was like, nope, I'm a girl. So yeah, that was a little bit awkward when she told me. It wasn't at the time, but I was used to it anyway. Probably the most memorable thing that happened in year 6 is that I went abroad for the first time. The first place we went to was Singapore, where my cousin had just moved to the year before. So my first flight was 12 hours long, and being 11 and a bit nerdy, I made this nice little book, which we got back. We went on the Friday night, and then the next Saturday we got back at 6 in the morning, and I just spent my Saturday making this, and it was done by the end of the day. So anyway, this, I don't know if you can see what it says, but I tried finding out what Chinese was for diary or whatever off the internet, so I hope I got it right. I have absolutely no idea if that is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, if there are any Chinese people out there. But yeah, so I made this rather attractive book, and I'll just show you this because it's quite special. Although I'm very impressed with my grammar at age 11. Let me think. There is a bit where there is some very good grammar in there, but anyway. So this is a very sort of in-depth recounting of my trip. It even talks about, because I had sports day apparently on the day we went, and it gives the results as well. Apparently my house came 3rd out of 4, so not a good year for Nightingale. And quite a blurry picture of me at Heathrow Airport. I wore my pyjamas. They didn't look like pyjamas, but they were pyjamas, and I was just wandering through the airport wearing them. Being my first flight, I was fairly nervous, and when I'm nervous, I tend to comfort eat. And I didn't really know how my stomach would react. I had no idea it even would react. I didn't really consider what it would be like to be on this plane. I just assumed I would get on and get off, and that's what would happen. But anyway, we went to Garfunkel's for dinner before we got on, because our flight was at 9:30 in the evening. So I came out of school, we went to the airport, and we went to Garfunkel's for dinner, and I cannot believe how much I ate. It was ridiculous. No wonder I felt so ill. I had a pizza, probably like a fairly substantial pizza, and a pint of banana milkshake and a load of chips. What is wrong with me? And then I went and got on this plane, a 12-hour plane ride, and I was so ill. Not only was I nervous, so I was getting sick from nerves, I was sick from having eaten all this rubbish, and then I drank 2 cans of Sprite on the plane. It was terrible. So, yep, I've even got my ticket in here. I was in 26F, as you can see. I think this is probably the biggest plane. Oh no, wait, it's one of the biggest planes I've ever been on. There aren't many bigger than this. It was one of the ones where you have 3, 4, 3 in terms of seats, and I remember I was on the end of the middle 4. And my cousins lived in this absolutely incredible house as well. It was huge. I've actually never been in a house so big. And I'll cover up the address because I put it on, but this is just their house. I think quite a lot of them looked similar around the area, but it was such a nice house. And it had a pool as well, which we spent a lot of time in, and there's my sister on our first night. So yeah, that was just the first evening we got there and stuff. So then the next day we went to Sentosa, which is an island just off the coast, I believe. This is before they sort of renovated it, so it didn't have the new Ferris wheel, or I can't remember what it's called now. That is really going to bug me, and I shall put it in because I will remember it by the time I've edited this video, and it will go in the bottom. So anyway, so we went on the cable cars which go from Singapore to Sentosa, and I guess this was before I developed my fear of heights, because I was not bothered. And there was another time we went like somewhere really high when we were there as well, and I wasn't fazed by it at all. Now I would be absolutely terrified. But anyway, we went on these cable cars, and we went to Sentosa, and this is a picture of us at the other side, me and 2 of my cousins. I don't know how well you can see any of these either, so if they come out really badly, then I'll just take a picture and put it in. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Raffles Hotel, which is one of the famous hotels in Singapore, but we went there on one of the evenings. We went there for drinks. I think I had a drink by the sounds of things, but they did this thing. You had peanuts, and you'd crack the peanuts, you'd eat the peanut, and you throw the shells on the floor, so the whole place is covered with these peanut shells, which I thought was quite strange. And I now have a vague recollection of shoving a lot of peanuts in my pockets and taking them back, which is really strange, but I was 11, so whatever. But yeah, there's a postcard of Raffles Hotel, which I obviously got, and I won't embarrass her by showing a rather attractive picture of my cousin Isabel when we went out for dinner that night. We went to this thing called the Omni Theatre, which is, I don't know if any of you have been to the IMAX, but it's basically a giant screen, but this one was sort of spherical as well, partly spherical, wasn't like a giant sphere. But we went to see Mystery of the Nile, and I've written here, we went to see Mystery of the Nile in the Omni Theatre. It was really interesting, so I guess I enjoyed it. Another thing we did is we went to the night safari, which is basically like a safari where you go around on this, it was more like a train than a bus really, and oh, here's a map. A map of all the animals that you can see, and it's all done at night. So we got there at like, I guess 8, half 8, and then it's all done in the dark because it gets dark pretty early in Singapore because there's no seasons, so it's always at like 6:30. So that was really fun as well, and I remember getting home really late, so that was exciting when you're 11. And on the last day we went to the Swiss Hotel in the afternoon just for like food. I don't even think it was for lunch, it was just for like random food. And this is the other time that I think I should have been fazed by the height, but I wasn't. Like, that's pretty high up. We were on the 70th floor, I think, so that's pretty high up. And I just wasn't fazed by it. So yeah, that was my trip to Singapore, which is the most memorable thing that happened that year, and the first time I ever went abroad, so that was the first like big holiday I had, which was really fun despite the fact that I got terribly jet lagged and was very ill on the plane. The way back I didn't eat as much, so I was okay, plus that one was 13 hours, so that was a bit more arduous. So yeah, that concludes my throughout the years year 5 and 6 video. I should have another one up soon. I'm going to do another pre-recorded one, so I'll just stick that in whenever I have a day when I'm not doing anything. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I shall see you tomorrow for another daily vlog. Bye!